Hey techies, Anthony from HNE here, and today I'm going to tell you about how I stopped receiving spam call messages in my voicemail. Now, the reason why I ended up getting them at the amount I was getting them was because I had renewed a domain and needed to update the phone number. And without thinking about it, I put my personal phone number in instead of the corporate one for HNE. Like, duh, rookie mistake 101. And so every 3 days, my voicemail box would just fill up with spam calls, a mix of live people and robots, just filling up my box. It was crazy. So I figured out some ways to stop it, and other than a single message of a phone call that was hung up but didn't disconnect, I've had no voicemail messages in over a month. So first thing you should know is that there's state and federal anti-spam laws with fines between $500 and $5,000 per call here in the United States. So for the federal one, you should look up the FCC.gov website, which specifically has a section called Stop Unwanted Robocalls and Texts. Then, of course, I live in Ohio, so you would want to check out the Ohio .gov fact sheet for the Do Not Call and other ways to stop unwanted calls. And then, of course, the federal government does have, and this is also the FCC website, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act of 74, USC 227, which will go over the actual laws for you. Now, the United States also has, and this is the step one in just eliminating the legit callers, the United States Do Not Call list. Now, you can put in, I think, up to 3 numbers, and periodically they might ask you to just confirm or update, but essentially it will eliminate anybody who is legit. And the thing is, it's a double-edged sword. So what may possibly happen is the non-legit or the illegitimate or the spammers and the scammers may use the information to get your phone number. So, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Step 2, removing your personal telephone number from social media and the websites. As I mentioned, I registered a domain, and that was my mistake. Lesson learned. So don't put it on your Facebooks, don't put it on your Twitters, don't put it on your Instagrams. I shouldn't have to name all of the possible places you can stick your phone number, but don't stick them there. I'm even hesitant about job sites unless they hide the information. But I'm pretty sure that they are the reason why my number gets out so much as it was before I messed up, because essentially anybody can say they're an employer, go in, look at resumes, and grab a phone number unless you specifically select a certain option, and some websites don't really protect that. So step 3, which is something HashNet has, and for some reason I forgot it existed because we rarely get any messages, is getting a Google Voice number. And then that is what should be on our social media websites, which it is now. Obviously, I updated it. I don't know why I forgot it existed, but voice.google.com. And the service, the basic level is free. If you want to get some advanced stuff going on, you're going to pay some money. But basically, you get a phone number. They can call in there, leave messages, text, and you can just interact through the website. I think there's even features where you can forward the calls to your phone. I don't want to be bothered, so I will just set it where it sends me a message in my email to let me know that somebody left a message. So step 4, signing up for a data removal service such as Delete Me and Incogni. So Delete Me domain is joindeleteme.com, and then Incogni is incogni.com. And what they do is every quarter they will go through various databases and websites and remove your information. Now, because these databases get updated and your number gets thrown back in there because nothing on the internet's ever really gone, they will go through and do it over and over again. And it's a subscription service. Both of them are subscriptions, so it's not going to be free. And yeah, you could do these things yourself, but they're so labor intensive that it's just maybe not worth the time. And they're not super expensive, but I imagine if you were burdened way more than I was, it probably is worth the money to you. Now, step 5 is something I did in the beginning of July, and so far, as I mentioned, other than receiving one call, which was a non-dropped hang-up, I've received no voicemail messages since. So let me read to you this message I created on my outgoing, And you can feel free to tweak yours, but as long as you get the meat of the message in there, I think it's a good enough deterrent to prevent most people from leaving a message that you don't know. So, quote, as of July 1st, 2023, any unsolicited telephone calls made to this number, live or recorded, will be reported to the FCC and FTC as part of the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. This could mean a fine between $500 and $5,000 per incident. Otherwise, please leave a message. Thanks. Unquote. That's my message. And so far, so good. So maybe they're taking the threat legitimately, and that's awesome. Now, my hope is also to deter others from calling anyway, because they probably figured, well, if I leave a message, I'm going to be fine. And if I keep calling, he's just never going to pick up anyway. So why bother? And I've noticed that the spam calls have gone down greatly. I get maybe 4 a week now. And because they're not leaving messages and they're probably not repeat calling, I think that's a plus. So step 6, enable smartphone spam filtering and blocking. And this can be found in your telephone's call settings. Now, I have an Android. So the settings is literally the ellipses on the top right of the screen and going into spam settings. It is super easy. And anybody can do it. Even in certain phones, you probably can get some advanced features in there, but mine are fairly basic, and it seems to be working. Because when a call comes in, it is marked as spam, and sometimes even prevents them from leaving messages. Or if they leave messages, I surely don't know about it. So step 7, disabling voicemail. Now, what I didn't mention was in April and May, I actually had disabled my voicemail. It was legit. I went to Verizon and I said, disable my voicemail. And they said, well, you understand nobody can leave you a message at all. I'm like, that is exactly what I want. Because, again, I was getting a full voicemail box every 3 days. And so I just needed them to figure out there was no way to leave voicemail anymore. So for about 6 weeks, it basically would go ring, 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 and then the call would disconnect. So I think a lot of spammers would start to think, okay, so maybe this number isn't a real number? You know, I don't care what their logic was to not call back, but truly cut the number down quite a bit. And so I have some bonus tips, of course. And this only all really works if you have a smartphone. I don't know how to help you if you have a flip phone or something, or a home landline, because I mean landlines are a whole different thing. But either way, set your settings to only allow calls to ring from numbers in your contacts. So I will, as I said, get occasionally spam calls, but I will never know about them until I look at the missed calls, thing on my phone. Unless it's somebody I know who's in my contacts of the 200 plus people that are in there, the phone will never ring. Another tip would be to consider disabling the allow repeat callers feature, as spammers are now exploiting it. I used to have it enabled, and basically the way the repeat callers thing works is if the number is not in your contacts and they call once and then fairly quickly call a second time, it'll let the call ring. Spammers are just cheating it. Like, I will go through my list now, and let's say those 4 calls I get a week, 2 of them are from the same spammer within the same minute, because they are trying to get me to answer the phone because it rang through. So I disabled it. If somebody really knows me and wants to get a hold of me, they know what social medias to hit me up with. Another tip is to enable blocking of calls from identified numbers. That way you're not bothered by people who are trying to hide who they are from you. So as a disclaimer, this may not stop all spammers from calling, but they will think twice before leaving a message. For me, these steps have taken me from having a full mailbox every 3 days to having only voicemails left by people that I want in my inbox. Now, with that said, let me know if you found other solutions to help reduce your spam callers, spam messaging issues. I think my tips are fairly comprehensive, but again, I don't have an Apple phone, so I don't know what features are there. And then I don't know what really phone companies offer to landlines. So that's a whole different area I can't help with. Tell me in the comments your thoughts on this video. Did you like what you saw, and how was your experience with it? Thanks for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe.